Good morning. Welcome to our Hsing I Chuan program for this Wednesday. This will be our last class for the month of January. We're going to head into February. We've had a good look at the choreography. We've started to put it together. We're starting to get some flow for our returning fist number one. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep up working on the set itself while adding details and pulling more material into it to sort of fill up the set itself. So let's get ourselves started out. We'll get the feet in the ground and just let the head rise and fall a couple of times. And looking from side to side. And ear to one shoulder and hang. And to the other. Again to the first side. And the second. Let the head roll. Do some gentle half circles. And keeping the jaw closed, we'll take the chin up and around. And then the other way. Okay, shoulders are going to go forward and up. And then back and down. And again, up, back, and down. And one more time. And let's roll those forward a couple of times. And then we'll warm up the arms, up, out, and down. And the other direction. And we're going to reach and lean to one side. And reaching up to the other. One more time on the first side. And the second. Okay, let's let those arms go nice and loose. Let them wrap around the body a bit. Warm up your trunk. And a bit of shoulder stretch, so pull across. And same on the other side. Get the hand over the head. And same on the other side. And then behind the back. And same on the other arm. All right, hips can roll around one way. And around the other. One more time, the first way. And the second. Okay, heel down. And I'm going to rock that toe out a couple of times because we're going to work on that turned out position today. So for making our hook stance, we really want to think about being able to open up and turn. So we're not cranking in the knees, we're opening up. Good. Same on the other side, so opening that hip. Good. We'll make some circles with the knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Outside to inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to go just cross touches. We're going to go elbow to knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Okay. Let's start out like we've been doing for the last little while. Let's go through some of our elements and animals to get ourselves warmed up here. So we'll start out here, and we've been working on 2 different versions of wood fist. So first version is the pushing through shuffle for each hit. push, shuffle, and hit. So let's work that for a moment. Turn. Yeah, a couple more of that one hit per shuffle. And turn. Okay, the second version that we are working on was that one where we're stepping up. So we're hitting on the step up with the back arm and then hitting with the front arm on the step out. So we're going 1, 2, 1, 2, drive, drive. So stepping in, you're kind of dropping into that lead hip, boom, and then you're pushing out to make your lead punch. So rear arm, front arm, rear arm, front arm. Just a couple more. Press and drive. So we want to get this timing where kind of just as you're hitting, whoom, you want to fire out that other arm. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, we'll keep going through a couple more of the elements. We were focusing a bit on metal fist. I was introducing a couple different versions of the metal fist over the last few weeks as well. So if we're starting here, we have the shuffle to uppercut. Then we have that condensing. Things are condensing in. We're pushing through and palm. And then we're shuffling for the uppercut. We're stepping through, palm, shuffle, uppercut. So step through palm, uppercut. Gather, remember that hollowing in, condensing in a bit, and driving out, and then uppercut. Condense, palm, uppercut. Couple more with that one. So palm, shuffle, step through, palm, shuffle. So we're getting a little bit of that step out to the mud tile, and then we're driving through and following up with the uppercut. So palm, uppercut, step through, palm, uppercut, step through. What was our variation number 2? The arm work stays fairly consistent. It's a timing difference in terms of the legs, and we're kind of taking out a beat. We're turning things over without that third kind of beat to it, without that shuffling uppercut. So when we step out, we're going to kind of uppercut and step in behind. So as we start to step, we're going to go uppercut, step through. So there isn't that pause. I'm uppercutting as I land in the mud tile and then following through with a step. I'm uppercutting to create the mud tile. So rather than uppercutting in our sum toy and then moving to the mud tile, we're uppercutting on that and driving through. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 2. So there isn't that pause moment. It's a little bit more flowy. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2. Let's go another few seconds here before I disappear off frame. So we're going to go palm, uppercut, uppercut, palm, uppercut, uppercut, palm. Last few seconds. So boom, boom. We were talking about this idea of these little shots up the inside. Bang, bang. Has some similarities to that earth one that drives up the inside too. There's only certain ways that we can strike, and they cross over a little here. So 1, and as we're stepping through, we go palm, uppercut, palm. Okay, let's keep warming up a bit, but I'd like to switch over some of our warm up to the set shortly. So let's do a little bit of walking with our bear and eagle today. So we're going to get that lift and pound. So remember, this is about building this heaviness in the arms. So one of the ways we can think about training this, it's almost like, oh, it can just barely get that hand to come up in the air, and then it wants to drop by settling in the hip, and like a ricochet, we hit, and then, oh, here's another uppercut, but this one off that back arm. So last time we were uppercutting off the front. Now we're shuffling in from the back arm. So we're lifting up the ribs. We can think about an exercise of opening the ribs, settling the ribs, opening the ribs, settling. And that's what we're working on here. Lift, settle, get underneath, uppercut. Lift, pound, and uppercut. Yeah, a couple more of those. So pound down with the palm, drive up with the uppercut. Pound down with the palm, with the uppercut. Down and up. Last few seconds. So down, up from underneath, come through. Pound down, pop up, pound down, drive up. Okay, let's switch gears for a moment. I've been talking to some people saying, oh, the hook stance work, I find it tricky. I find it hard on my knees and stuff. And it can be, for sure, a tricky stance to work on. So one of the things we're going to do just for a second is we're going to just stay along in one plane here. We're going to think about loading this leg so we can touch the toe behind. Now, what often happens for people is they push the knee ahead of the foot because they're thinking about weighting forwards. Another way to think about this one is pulling this hip back so my weight actually goes down more central. So I'm settled and a little bit more central. So as we step out and step across, instead of thinking about twisting to get that foot behind, think about sinking. It's kind of counterintuitive, but you're thinking about sinking back in that hip. So we go step out and really fold into that hip. So we're pulling, and notice that my weight is not ahead of my toes. My knee's not being driven ahead of those toes. I'm spiraling down. And when we're doing our dragon, we're using that spiral because we're thinking about it quite often in terms of an armbar style technique where we're stepping out and we want to get this idea of pulling and twisting so we can drive that hand down. So if you're thinking about seizing a wrist and turning over an arm as we gather, so we've got that kind of scoop up, and we want to not pull that person into us, we're wanting to pull that person across themselves, and so we get this rotation. Now we've got the classical stance. We're not going to sit here in our hook stance, but the hook stance gives me the idea, A, that as I grab, I could be kicking with that stomp kick we talked about a few weeks ago. So you're driving the heel to stomp, and then I want that rotation to both pull and descend and push. Bang. And so that's kind of what we're thinking when we're working our dragon, where, you know, we've come through and we're driving down on top. In the earlier part of the set, we get this quick shift. And again, we're kind of exaggerating because that's what forms do. Forms go through big biomechanical chains to help teach the body to find those positions or to find how to use those kind of shifts, and they don't have to be as exaggerated. So if you think about somebody trying to take that lead leg away from you and you're thinking about shift, I'm kind of turning my body from facing to lateral, facing to lateral. Now in the set, we're going all the way back because we're getting these nice twists in the body, but it's also teaching us how to retreat and cover and then return with that wood fist. So we don't need to go quite so deep, but we're using that outside edge of the arm, like we've been talking about with earth fist for a while, and then we're going to return with wood fist. Boom, boom. But we want to be in a position where we can shift back and drive in, get out of the way and drive in. So we get these coverings. I could be blocking and blocking, 1, 2, but then I want to come back in with 3. Cover, cover, drive, cover, cover. And I want this front foot to be able to pull back out. That could be I pull it out and I kick with it. So I'm rolling back to strike. I could be shifting out of the way to rotate and create something else. Just something to think about as you're working on that. But in that safety for your knees, you want to make sure you're not twisting the knee to come forward. So a lot of time we think about bringing this hip back and twisting everything around, whereas it's more about sitting and drawing in and settling in that middle position. Okay, come on up. Time is doing its usual thing and zipping by on us. So let's do a few passes of the set that we've spent all this time putting together. So we were talking about how we start at a 45-degree angle. We've got lift, brush, settle, and down. We're going to spiral, gather in, and we start with our metal fist. 1. Here we get our first wood fist. Now this is that shuffle back. So really think as you're drawing this in, you're covering, you're blocking. So I could be covering with one arm. So these chains are interesting. Outside to inside chain. 1, 2, and then 3. We're driving back. Now we're getting our phoenixes. We're circling underneath. We're stepping back on the 45. We've got this pull, push, or tear. We step in, cross the wrists, step back on the 45, tear, and we get our pound the mortar. We're holding that, we're containing it, we're condensed, and we're going to make a small circular kind of play in the body. So as we're stepping, we're kind of drawing in, and this is that concept in fire where we're stoking the cannon. We're pressing everything in, and then boom, we're going to explode back out. Now, here's more of those covers and deflects. 1, we step back. Boom. 2, we step back. And then we cover again. Then we have this roll back. And here comes our uppercut from Bear Eagle. This is where we were talking about the stomp kick and the dragon pull down. Again, I'm not going forward. I'm spiraling down. Then we had that wood fist combo of pound by stepping up, press out. Our turn, we're brushing, pressing down, drawing in, covering with our kick. Again, we want to get that dragon. I'm bringing this hip backwards. I'm tugging into place. And then we go. Wood, cover, cover with earth, back to wood. Phoenix underneath, step out, cross, step back, pound the mortar, step in, drive out. Earth fist going backwards on the diagonal, left to right arm to left arm on the diagonal, and we stay there. And we work one more. Gather up, uppercut, stomp kick, dragon. Don't torque your knee, squat. Then step up to pound, press out to punch, and we're going to turn again. In, down, gather, kick, and twist down, drive. 1. Covering with the right, drawing out that left, wood fist, Phoenix. 1, cross the wrists. 2, pound the mortar. Up on that zigzag. Step, circulate inside the body and spit out. Cover. 1, cover. 2 and 3. Roll to your uppercut. Boom. Kick and pound. Wood fist. 1, 2. Turn. Not a long set. So what does that tell us? We really want to get to a place where it's not about the choreography. It's about us working on internal details, closing the body, coiling, shifting, snapping into place, driving and firing right away. Where's my circulation in here? What am I working on with my Phoenix? So I'm shifting, gathering, pounding the mortar, circulating, drawing, firing out, cover, slip back, cover, 1, cover, 2, roll, get a nice sense of that back leg driving that uppercut. Uppercut to stomp, stomp to pull down, and then wood fist, brush, settle, gather, kick, dragon. 1, 2, 3, Phoenix, Phoenix, step through, fire, cover, earth. 1, earth. 2, 3, uppercut, stomp, pound down, dragon, wood fist, turn. Slow the mind. Remember, this is the Qigong. Up the spine, energy down, spiral, and wood, earth, wood, Phoenix 1, Phoenix 2, pound the mortar, step through, fire, earth 1, 2, 3, uppercut, kick, palm, wood fist, 1 time through, up, down, draw, dragon, 1, 2, 3, Phoenix 1, 2, step through, pound, earth 1, 2, 3, uppercut, kick, palm, wood fist, turn, come around, dragon, 1, 2, 3, cover, pound, fire fist, step back, earth, uppercut, kick, dragon, wood fist, turn, come around, dragon, wood fist, earth, lift, step back, close. Right. Hopefully that's starting to come along, starting to feel comfortable. As I picked up the pace, it didn't start to crumble too much. It's hard to get pace, to get fluidity, to maintain not a positional exercise. Hsing I is not just about placing limbs into a space. It's about how the body shapes, the intent behind those shapes as we move from posture to posture. So we want to focus on our openings and closings. We get time to focus on our rotations and how closing and rotating can work together, on how swinging through, getting a sense of naturalness. We don't want the limb to lead. The limb is being driven from the legs, from the core, through the spine, out to the final striking area. Okay, let's take the last just couple minutes of time about how we're going to fill this out by adding more to it. If you got a chance, I threw up some just brief video I did against my impact equipment a couple weeks ago that's in the archive. You can have a look at that, just talking about some of the earth work we've been doing. But let's talk about the crossing of deflect, 1, 2. This is a common theme we see in a lot of traditional martial arts and in general, in good martial arts in general. And we've talked about this before as this idea of the outside deflection. And we were talking about the slipping little uppercuts, the shoveling little punches, the shouldering in, the throws. But this can also be a way of passing a limb from one arm to the other to get to the outside. So if we've got this imaginary dummy in front of us with hands out, I'll be your imaginary dummy for a moment. So you're going to think about going, push the arm from the outside, and then I need to get this arm on the outside as well. And that's why we're sometimes getting those zigzags. So if we're moving backwards, we're thinking about touching and deflecting and then slipping our body to the outside. Touching, moving to the outside. We could do that as a four-corner kind of exercise where we go press and catch in. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Now that can be as light as tap and cover. That can be as heavy as striking against the limbs. So sometimes deflections and blocks are actually counter strikes against the striking limb. So we can be smashing with the hammer against those limbs. And then as we come in with that inside, this could be where I just transition. But if I've got somebody on the outside here and I slip up towards their shoulder and catch under their arm and kind of drive this across the body to their core and then push. That's one of the things we can be doing with this other arm, driving in to bind and shove. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. And let's talk about, after class, we'll talk here about what we're going to do, how we want to keep opening this setup over the next little while. All right, thanks for training hard today. And we will see you for maybe my Mahjong in a short moment, or we'll see you next week in February. Thanks for training.